Hi, this is David with Discount Dragon again, and we are back to give you another lesson on Amazing Mold Putty and other similar silicone-based mold putties. So, we were working on this last time. We were creating a mold for a Cthulhu skull. As you can see, I've added a lot more material. And I've been following the raised parts of the skull generally in creating the line of the mold. This is going to be one piece. It's going to be kind of like this. And then the other piece of the mold will be kind of like that. And they'll fit together to create the entire mold. Now, this is less typical of a mold than like a professional mold, because I'm doing something that's free form and follows the flow of the piece itself. And I'm doing it in little bitty pieces. Now this piece here, the little flange I'm creating, is kind of the next step after getting about half of it covered. Now the flange takes a little bit of care to create. I'm going to take my two pieces here and knead together some mold putty. Now there's a couple of different techniques you can use for kneading this. I generally knead it till it's flat, and sometimes I tear it up and make a little stack of it that kind of mixes it together. Or you can take it and make a little snake and then coil it up. Or you can make a snake and then take it like this and twist it. Or you can just kind of smear it in your hand and roll it up. Or any combination, whatever makes the process work best for you. You just want an even, uniform color, indicating that you've mixed your putty. Then you go over here and you pick a spot that you want to create a mold ridge on. Kind of take it here, make sure it's connected well to the existing mold putty. And then we're going to want a more or less flat surface. So we take something like this, which is a long X-Acto blade, and we just kind of cut along where we think the line is. And there you go. It creates a nice, smooth starting surface, which we keep expanding outwards as far as we need to go. You can just go in here and kind of smooth it out a little bit with your hand. It doesn't have to be exactly flat, but it helps with working with it if it's regular. And you can use various tools to go in there and play with it. And you can also go back and add material later to make things smoother or make them flow a little bit better. But that's our little dividing flange as it's coming along. Now, in addition to creating this flange, you're going to need to create little divots in one side of the flange and raised portions in the other side of the flange. And these are called keys. There's a number of ways of creating them. Generally, I take things like this. This is a hematite bead. Or if we want a larger one, we can use various marbles or ball bearings in different sizes. So, since this is already firming up, this little piece that we put in here, I'm going to add in another piece and then create the key in that part. So, take another chunk here, mix it together. And once again, you want to do this pretty rapidly because the curing process is quick. And you want to get the mixing done fast so you have more working time. So we're mixing it together, get a nice even consistency. Then we'll go over here to a flange that we've already created pretty well, and we're going to just stick it on there and smooth it in a bit. Doesn't need to be very perfect at all, because this surface isn't going to create the finished piece. So if it's uneven or has fingerprints in it or whatever, it doesn't really matter. So we've got this here, it's still soft. But what we want to create is our little divot. So I'm just taking this and pressing a marble down in there. And you can kind of play around with it. You're going to want to we're going to want to put about half the marble into the material. So you end up with like a little dome depression that's going to match up with a raised dome in the other side of the mold. Probably could have used a little more material on this, but you're getting the idea. And since that isn't going to stay anyway, I'll just let it drop out so you can see. So you've got your little depression in there. And once this firms up, we're going to come back to the back side here, and we're going to add more material to make the mold more durable and a little less floppy. So that is what we're working on now. We're creating the flange with the little dimples in it, and on the next step we'll show you how to make the second piece of the mold and put the other side down into those little depressions. Now, something else I'm going to show you is something that I don't know that people do that commonly. If you read the directions for the Amazing Mold Putty, you end up with a lot of stuff like this, which is a cured piece of mold putty that is pretty useless. It got messed up, isn't usable for anything. And the directions say you can't reuse it, you can't do anything with it. And to a degree that's correct. You can't melt it down or reverse the chemical process in an easy sort of way. But this is still usable in your future crafts. What you can do is you just take it and cut it to a size that suits your current project, and then take some uncured mold putty, knead it up until it's ready to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to surround this piece with the uncured mold putty, which is pretty much what we're doing with the mold itself. We take cured pieces and add on uncured pieces. But in this instance, what we're doing is we are taking a cured piece, surrounding it with uncured material, like this. So we're coating it in the uncured material. And then we're going to use both of these in total to reinforce the mold and build it up. So we're taking what used to be a totally worthless piece of leftover material, and we are building up and reinforcing a new mold with it. And this works either with discarded pieces, or you can disassemble old molds that you're no longer using, chop them up into useful sizes, and use them to create new molds. You do want to make sure that you don't have anything that's contaminated with materials that are going to make this not a good idea. Like if you're doing something food safe, you don't want to use molds that have been used for non-food safe materials, etc. But this is a way to recycle your Amazing Mold Putty and to get more value out of it. And there you have it. It's going to become a new useful piece of our new mold, instead of just something that gets tossed in the trash. So that's it for this lesson, and we'll be moving on to the next step in our process in the next episode. I will take a moment to show you this, which we're also working on. This is just going to be an open face mold for that skull fragment that I showed you earlier. And this one here is just going to be this piece, and then we're going to take a rigid material and fill in here as reinforcing, and then put the clay in from the back. But I'll show you that later. For now, this is the Discount Dragon, and thanks for watching.